Thank you very much, Ms. Sohn. Um, let's take off on the broadband issue, which is so big to so many of us, especially those of us with rural areas. We know the FCC is responsible, one of the key agencies responsible for the rollout of the bipartisan infrastructure law. How does the lack of a full commission, which has been going on for way too long, ultimately affect consumers who need reliable, affordable internet access?
Well, it affects them in a myriad of different ways. I mean, first, and this is one of my frustrations of not having been confirmed yet, is I would love to be able to help the FCC ensure that they have the most accurate broadband map that they can possibly have. Now, I can't fix it myself, but I have unbelievable relationships with the states, including many of the states of folks that sit on this dais, and I would love to help improve that broadband map. And without an accurate broadband map, the money that is going to be spent by the Commerce Department is not going to go to the right places. And this is not to criticize the FCC. I think they're doing the best they can with what they have. But I could be an enormous help in that regard. There are many other things. I'll stop there.
Okay. I want to turn to something else I care a lot about, and I think you and I have talked about this before, and that's 911 centers. An estimated 240 million calls are made to 911 centers annually. However, often they are relying on outdated technologies. In many places, it doesn't even support text messages, which is how so many people are going to contact 911. Can you speak to the importance of upgrading 911 systems? I'm the one of the chairs of the 911 caucus. I've always cared a lot about this issue. And if confirmed, could you talk about what you think needs to be done?
Yeah, look, there's nothing more important that the FCC does that ensures that the public is safe. And when I was at the FCC with Chairman Wheeler, we actually started the proceeding that kind of got kicked off NG 911, and that's why public safety officials and NENA, which is the 911 Association, support my confirmation. So I would want to improve NG 911 if I am confirmed, and certainly ensure that it works properly in rural areas, because I know that is a problem.
Okay. Speaking of something else that you've touched on before about rural areas, and that is back to the broadband issue. In rural areas of my state, about 16% of households lack access at even baseline speeds. And could you talk about your plans after this bill has been passed for achieving universal access to broadband, specifically in rural communities?
Yes, thanks, Senator. What I believe deeply is that the FCC needs to work very, very closely with the NTIA to ensure that really over $47 billion that the broadband infrastructure, the bipartisan infrastructure law has put out for broadband deployment is well spent. And that the states have the wherewithal to spend that money wisely. Because what we don't want is to come back in 5 years and say, wow, we spent $47 billion and we still have huge swaths of America, of rural America, and frankly, urban America, that don't have adequate broadband. So I think the FCC needs to be a partner with the NTIA in implementing the terms of the infrastructure law and making sure that that money is spent, the taxpayer money is spent wisely and effectively. Thank
you. One of the issues that have come up over the years is the mapping, and maps have been a serious problem. I know you know that. The Broadband Data Act, which I led with Senators Wickers and Peters and Thune, is focused on improving the FCC's data collection process to get more accurate maps. It was signed into law of March of 2020. Talk about how you're going to be able to focus on maps, if confirmed, to the areas that are served or unserved. Senator, I'll make this vow to everybody in this room and on this dais. If I am confirmed, the first thing I am going to do is offer my assistance to the chairwoman to do anything that it takes to make those maps as accurate as possible. So when NTIA gives out that money or allocates that money on June 30th, we have the best map possible
in the time that we have. Now, the map is iterative, and it's going to keep getting better, but that June 30th date is a really, really critical date. And that's why time is really of the essence to get me confirmed, because if I don't get confirmed at all, there's not going to be a fifth person on the FCC in time to do anything about those maps. So I care deeply about this issue because I worked really, really hard on the broadband provisions of the infrastructure law. I was the person who sold it to the public interest community. It was not everything that the public interest community wanted, but I thought it was important because it was bipartisan and it was a lot of money, and it could do a lot of good. And I'd like to continue that.
Thank you. Senator
Thank
Peters.
you very much.